welcome to Always Two There Are, our Super Geek Star Wars show. Now, the Star Wars show we don't do on a regular schedule because Star Wars news is one over the last several months has been one of those things that I think they were saving up to reveal a lot of it at Celebrations. So I knew when Celebrations came out last week that we were going to get hit with a lot of news. So Raul and I, how you doing, Raul?
Good. How are you doing, George?
I'm doing good. We decided, after Celebrations, we'll pick a day and we'll talk about what we knew was going to be a lot of news, from things like the new Clone Wars trailer, the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer, gaming news, and Mandalorian. So there's a few things to talk about. Let's start with the trailer that everybody's going crazy over, and that would be Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I would never have guessed this title in a million years, but I like it. What do you think of the title?
I think it's very 70s, so it's actually kind of fun. Let's give it a shot, guys. Don't shoot it down before
More people like it than don't like it, from what I've
Well, I've heard some bad complaints too, and I'm like, I think those people are being uber picky.
Have you? I've mostly seen positive reactions to it. Of course, a lot of people are kind of thinking, what does it mean? Does it mean Rey's?
Right.
Is Rey a Skywalker and all that good stuff? JJ did respond to those questions on the carpet or whatever during the post interviews when they revealed the trailer. He says it's it's complicated. There's more layers to the meaning of it. I definitely think even though everybody's thinking it's too on the nose for it to mean that Rey is a Skywalker. You know what the funny thing is, Raul? Based on JJ's track record, I wouldn't put it past him to put it in plain sight like that, and then everybody assumes that, no, he wouldn't put it in plain sight, and then they're thinking the opposite of whatever else could it mean. I think it is possible that it's exactly what people think it is, and that it could mean that Rey is a Skywalker.
I think it's even probable, given JJ's track record of, no, I never do this.
It's not con,
It's just like that, what we thought.
It's almost like reverse psychology. If you put something out in plain sight that seems too obvious, people are going to assume it's a misdirection or a red herring. I don't know. JJ's kind of weird. Like, you never know which way he's going with that. I like the fact that they're using, to end this saga, that the Rise of Skywalker is a title to me. The reason I want to talk about the title for a minute before we get to the meat of the trailer is because, for me, Star Wars titles are one of the most important things in the whole series. It's sometimes they're stupid and campy, like Attack of the Clones. Other times they're pretty cool, and they're like Revenge of the Sith was a perfect title because originally Return of the Jedi was called Revenge of the Jedi, and then Lucas at the last minute changed it, but they had posters all over the place for Revenge of the Jedi because he decided Jedi don't seek revenge, so he changed it to Return of the Jedi. But by twisting it around and making the third one in the prequels Revenge of the Sith, I thought that is clever. That's like a nice little poetic symmetry with everything. And so Lucas always said, if you watch the behind the scenes, like with the making of the Phantom Menace and all that stuff, that he believes in. Now this isn't Lucas's movie, but Star Wars has always tried to have a sort of poetic stanza type rhyme thing with their movies about certain events that happen in each the circular storytelling thing there.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
But also,
it's because of the influence of Joseph Campbell and the myth,
the hero's
mythology,
journey.
The hero's journey stuff. Yeah, for sure.
But the title has to mean something. So if you think of if now we know that, of course, George Lucas didn't make these three movies. If it was George Lucas, because of his pattern and style of doing things, it might be easier to guess certain things. Now, because JJ is doing this one, he did the first one, Force Awakens, first of the new trilogies. So we got the Force Awakens. The title is pretty clearly obvious. It awakened in Rey. The Last Jedi was pretty obvious. It was about Luke wanting to end the Jedi Order, and kind of Rey was like, kind of being that voice of, don't give up kind of thing. And then, and that we can learn from our mistakes. And the third one is called The Rise of Skywalker. Now, Luke's dead. They did say that the Emperor is not alive. They just revealed that the other day. He's back, but he's not alive, is what JJ said. So he said, he actually was willing to let everybody know, Palpatine is back, but he's not alive. So that means he's either a holocron. He's either a holocron. He's not resurrected like I thought was one of my theories, that Plagueis had taught him that trick, because he said he's not alive unless he's lying to us, which is possible. It could be flashbacks. We know there's a piece.
Could be the crystal, the crystal that the Jedi and Sith use to record holocrons.
It could be. Now, there's a chunk of the Death Star on that planet nobody knows for sure what planet that is. It's either Endor or it's Yavin 4.
Should be Endor, right? Or am I wrong?
I don't think it is. The reason why, well, it is possible, because they did say that they filmed in a forest, but Yavin 4 has a forest too, and they did say Yavin 4 was in this movie also. It could be either of the Death Stars. It could be a chunk from either one.
True, very true. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that there's something in there that's and it probably is the Endor Death Star, because the Emperor was never shown to have had his own chambers on the first Death Star. That doesn't mean he didn't have one, though. Right. He just wasn't there when it blew up. But they would have probably had a Sith chamber for at least Vader. So
yeah, of course.
Something to do with what's inside that piece of the Death Star is going to have something to do with the presence of the Emperor. It could be he could be an evil spirit. It could be the evil version of a... Wouldn't it be funny if they did an Emperor Ghost versus Luke Ghost fight? That would be kind of interesting.
Oh, that would be great. I would love that. That's a little nod towards Peter... what's his name from the Peter Jackson and his Wraith movie. Do you remember that at all?
No.
The Ghost movie he did. Yeah, there was a.
Was
Wraith,
it an 80s
basically?
movie?
It was a 90s movie, and
wait, did it have Amelia? No, who did it have?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Or was it Charlie?
And it was one
like
of
that.
Michael J. Fox's last movies. And
was it the one with the car? Was it the one with the car?
Yes, it was.
All right, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And there was a great scene in it where the humans are the live humans are fighting, and then the ghosts are fighting in the background. It's hilarious.
I'm kind of thinking it's very possible we'll get something like that. It would be a way to have.
I would love to see it.
See, why couldn't a ghost fight a ghost? They're on the same sort of spectrum, you might say. Like he could be attacking Rey, or trying to tempt her to the dark side, or all this other stuff, and then Luke could come around as a ghost, and they get into a ghost fight.
Whoop his ass, yeah. That'd be great.
It would be interesting. I don't see any reason lore-wise why it couldn't be possible. So
because all we've seen so far is the abilities of Force, light-aligned Force Jedi. So
if you count the Clone Wars, which is supposed to be canon,
true.
The hidden final season, Yoda went through his trials to learn how to become a ghost, and he had to fight the ghost of Darth Bane on the Moraband, the home planet of the Sith.
That's true.
So,
but look at that effect. Yeah, look at that effect. It was definitely conflictive.
Right. Yep. So now let's get and then I think the fans who think Rey's too powerful, they can go to hell. Clearly, she's been reading the Jedi books between the movies.
Sure.
It's in the comics too, and those are canon.
Sure.
The Poe Dameron comics.
And if she happens to be of the Star Wars line, it would make sense that the powers reside.
You mean
in
a Skywalker
vessel?
Line?
Yeah, the Skywalker's legacy
lineage
would reside in a powerful vessel.
She doesn't have to be a Skywalker to be that powerful. It could be just the Force balancing things out by giving the only one left more power to combat the dark side. I know that we're getting the Knights of Ren in this one, and I guess Kerry Russell's playing a bounty hunter, but the Knights of Ren are going to be in it, so there'll be multiple of them. Obviously, Rey didn't have time to train anybody. It's only been, I think they said it's been 2 years since the last movie. 1 or 2 years, one or the other. So Rey will, I look at it like, okay, look how powerful Luke became between Empire and Return of the Jedi. He had learned, he self-taught himself. He must have, according to some books, he went back to Obi-Wan's home on Tatooine and found things like how to build a lightsaber and all those in the holocron. So he learned more from those type of things, like tools left behind.
Sure, and don't forget that the dark side was tempting him and prodding him. So he was being led down some unusual paths. And
so Rey had the ancient Jedi texts, and she's been reading those for the last couple of years. So yeah, easily for her. It's pretty easy that she could self-teach herself. Look, for all the fans out there that complain, you got to remember, the Jedi had to start somewhere. There had to be that first Jedi that figured out how the Force works in order to pass on that knowledge. It's not like they didn't have someone to teach them. I mean, according to some lore, there were those trees, and then there was other Force users like the Wills that could have taught them generally how to use the Force. But then someone created the Jedi Order and created their own way of doing things with the Force.
Yeah, that's probably likely. Every time we have a type of innovation in humanity, we learn something from somewhere else. Then we adapt it to suit the needs of that particular discipline. So, for instance, I'll give you a good example. The Pilgrims did not know irrigation farming that was popular here in the United States with the natives, with the first worlders, and they were taught that. Then they added their own techniques from Europe as well, but they were basically taught how to irrigation farm here in the States. So that's something. You adapt knowledge and then you make it your own.
Yep. So, and then the rise of Skywalker could mean so many different things. So it's too early, I think, to really figure that out. It could even mean the redemption of Kylo Ren, because he is a Skywalker technically.
That's true.
Because if you fall, then you rise, and so if he does turn good, that would be one way to look at it. It could also mean just. It could be the name of the order that Rey decides to call this new Jedi Order. Instead of Jedi, they're the Skywalkers. It could be like the name of their order.
Yeah, true.
It's possible she doesn't want to call this a Jedi anymore. It's possible that she's doing this a whole new way. I kind of got that impression that they were headed in that direction. That the Jedi do die off, but they become replaced by something new, a new type of order.
Sure.
So, and that Rey is the first.
It's totally possible. I'm not discounting nor accepting anything right now. I'm just going in with open eyes.
Yeah, it was the best teaser they could have done, because and the thing about Star Wars is all these trailers are always amazing. It's the movies themselves that are always a little bit less than what the trailers make them out to be. But we'll see. Maybe this could be the one time. Force Awakens was good. It wasn't as good as the trailers made it out to be, but it was good. Last Jedi, I liked it. A lot of people hated it for many reasons.
A lot of people hated it. I quite enjoy. I liked it better than Force Awakens. I have to say, I
liked it better than Force Awakens too. Actually, to be honest with you, the only thing I didn't like was how they handled Luke. But other than that,
I didn't like Blue Milk. The whole Blue Milk thing.
Well, that
was just
too.
Too much for me.
I just felt disappointed by Luke giving up like that and all that, and I don't know. But anyways. And also too. Okay, so he failed. We had a weak moment with his nephew, and he felt bad, so he wants to just give up on everything that he went through because of that. That to me was just like, I don't know.
Well, it's realistic. I will put it this way: it's not good for a hero to fall so far on screen, but it's sort of the way things happen in real life. So I appreciate its realism, even though it's in an unrealistic setting.
Yeah. Mark Hamill put out a tweet to try to fuck with the fans. He said Luke Skywalker did not die a virgin. Now, here's the thing. Is that him trying to rile everybody up into creating theories that this means Rey is definitely his daughter? I think that he knows that people are going to think that.
Yeah, but I absolutely. I don't think they let Mark Hamill in on the secret. To be honest,
I think he was just messing with people. But
yeah, I definitely think he's kind of a trickster.
He
himself.
He literally played the trickster on The Flash. Yeah. But let's move on from the trailer. I mean, that trailer was awesome, but they're gonna have more trailers. December's not too far away, so we'll get more insight as time goes on. This is just the first teaser. I mean, there was no. If you think about any of the first teasers for any of these movies, you can never get enough information from it to really come up with too much of a theory. You need more information. You need another trailer with more scenes or something, or behind the scenes or whatever. But there's a lot in this trailer, but I don't think there's enough that people can get all the context they need to figure some things out. They can come up with all the theories they want.
Especially surrounding the Emperor. That's a big mystery for sure.
People were 99% wrong about every theory they come up with for The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, so I'm not listening to any of these dumbasses out there that think they can figure everything out because they're analyzing trailers and going by books and things like that. I mean,
yeah, for God's sakes, there are only two there are does not support anybody listening to podcasts. I mean, my God.
Well, no. You can listen to them if you want. I'm just saying that the theories are almost always wrong when it comes to Star Wars.
Oh no, of course. Which is
when it comes to Game of Thrones, fans are usually right. 90% of the times. That's the funny part. It's a totally
because
different
they
thing.
have the books to fall back to.
It's
I
not
think.
just the books. It's
different.
just it's just certain. It's hard to explain. It's like you pick up on these little things, and the theories are often true. But the theories with Star Wars, they're almost always wrong. The theories on Rogue One,
I think
everything.
it's because it's very top down, and the guys that are creating the content in Star Wars, the Disney and the movie studios as well, they are trying to subvert expectations so that way.
Well, Rian Johnson did that on purpose.
Right.
And that was his problem though, is he went too far with it. He wanted to completely keep doing that all throughout the movie. He went a little too far with it. JJ does a little bit of that, but he doesn't make it his focus.
Yeah, JJ.
And by the way, the only reason JJ killed Han Solo is because Harrison Ford wanted that since back. He wanted that since back in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Look, Ben died in the first movie. I hate to tell people, but Ben died because Alec Guinness didn't want to continue in the story.
So Harrison Ford kept asking. He wanted Han Solo to go out in a fight, a glory thing, and then one of the first things Harrison Ford asked JJ was to kill him off, and JJ complied. And it's really that simple. It wasn't because JJ went, "I want to kill a character off." That wasn't what he was.
Yeah, absolutely, George. You don't tell Harrison Ford no. He's one of the biggest stars on the planet still.
Right, because he wanted him to come back. So if he wanted to come back and you didn't kill him, he would have been contracted to do like 2 or 3 movies, and he probably didn't want to do that. So, anyways, let's move on to the Mandalorian. No, before we do the Mandalorian, let's talk about Clone Wars. Did you see that? You saw that trailer too?
No, I haven't seen that trailer.
Oh, it looks amazing. Ahsoka fighting Darth Maul.
Oh.
You know what? Hold on. While we're talking, it doesn't matter if we do it mid-show. I'm gonna.
Excellent. A little live discovery here.
Yeah, hold on a second.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I like that. Wait till the very end of it too, like when you think it's over with, because you'll see Ahsoka fighting Maul for a few seconds. It looks pretty awesome. All right, I dropped the link.
Let me take a look. 1 second. Okay, it's running.
It's 3 minutes and 34 seconds.
Ooh, just the graphics alone.
The first thing you're seeing is from last year.
Yeah, but it's improved dramatically since what I saw it, which was the first year. This has really made me look forward to Clone Wars. Man, Clone Wars is growing up real fast.
Yeah, he's been given the opportunity to finish the story he wanted to finish. I can make a few predictions because he had a panel last year. He talked about what he would have done if he had been able to finish Clone Wars, and then later it turned out he was able to. Ahsoka will get into a romance with somebody because she went into that level 515 that was going to be a game, 5151 I think it's called.
Yes.
That's where there's a few clips besides this trailer that were shown at Celebrations, and Ahsoka ends up accidentally falling down to one of the lower levels, and she meets another chick, a character that's going to be joining her. But there's a guy, I guess, also in Dave's original story that he had planned. He talked about this at Celebrations last year or the year before. He said Ahsoka in his headcanon, and he had wrote it out, but he never got to finish it. Ahsoka would have gotten into a romance with somebody down in level 5151, and she would have had her own little adventures with people down there, and had a romance with someone. Now he said it was a guy. I'm wondering if that agenda changed and she's going to get in a romance with that girl, with the girl in the trailer that helps her out when she almost falls off her. Well, you didn't see the scene, but there's a scene where her hover bike gets damaged and she almost falls off the ledge or whatever. And
I did see the girl though. I think she has a funky haircut.
She might be the person replacing the guy that he originally had Ahsoka be in a romance with. But it's level 5151, which was originally a game that got canceled. And
yes,
it's supposed to like the underworld of Coruscant.
Yes, it was looking really good, and they axed it at the last moment.
Right, because they were having issues with licensing and all that stuff. That was when that was back when Disney took over and things were changing. It's kind of like what's happening with Fox right now with the Disney acquisition changing and causing some things to be canceled. For example, they canceled The Gifted and things like that. And so, anyways, yeah. So Clone Wars, the final season looks really good. So we'll get some closure on how it was supposed to end, and see more of Ahsoka's journey. So
Yes.
that'll be excellent. Um, and then there's the Mandalorian. Now it wasn't really a
Oh,
trailer. They call it a sizzler or sizzle. No, sizzler. That's what they called it. But it was behind the scenes slash with some clips.
you got a
Um,
subpar steak with it?
yeah, and it's made one sauce. And they show like how they use practical effects. They use models and CGI the way Orville does, which is like cool. The Mandalorian ship looks cool. It's called something Razor. I can't remember. Razor something. I can't remember what it's called. It
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
cool. The I guess apparently his name, as he's going to be known as in the show, is the Mandalorian. Um, and one of the characters, played by Carl Weathers, is his boss, who sends him looking for certain artifacts, rumored to be Death Star technology. That was from when the Death Star blew up,
Sure.
and so we'll see. It looks really good. What do you think of the Mandalorian?
Oh, I can't wait. This is the thing. This is the Star Wars property, as far as physical video media, that I'm looking forward to the most. Is the Mandalorian.
It's definitely going to be interesting, exploring that underworld type situation as the
It's
focus.
going to be an interesting. I said this before on our Super Geeks thing, but it's going to be an interesting just juxtaposition of the warrior culture of the Mandalorians and the underworld of Star Wars. So it's a great placing of those two things together.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the 5 years after Return of the Jedi looks like, as far as um, the collapse of the Empire, or it wasn't completely done at that point, but as they're going bye bye and the New Republic is rising. Um,
Yeah,
should,
I'd hate to call anything early, but I would love to see Grand Admiral Thrawn in this series. I think that he would fit here.
it's not impossible, and I'll tell you why. The way they left Rebels was that Thrawn got zapped into an unknown part of the galaxy with Ezra, with
Right.
the space whales, and they were going to go looking for Ezra, and Thrawn obviously was still alive. By this point in time, he could have made it back somehow, and he could be part of, just like in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, they could be using that as an excuse to mix some of those story elements, because they do cherry pick from the EU. They've done it.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
In fact, Thrawn is an example of that. So there's no reason why this is the right time. This is the right time period to do something
Exactly.
a new version of the Heir to the Empire, the Timothy Zahn trilogy, and it's not fan wank for those listening. It's they have a precedent for it. They've used characters from the EU in their own way. They've
Well,
taken
not only that, but again, like we've mentioned off the air, if it serves the story, it's what's going to happen.
but the
Because
thing
go ahead, sir.
well, they may not though. Maybe later, because they're focusing more on the underworld side of things. If they do something like Thrawn and that thing, I don't know if that would fit in this show, because that would be more getting into the
Well,
with the Empire, and
it'll show that the so above, so below kind of theory, whereas things are connected. The underworld is connected with the Empire. The Empire is connected with elements of the underworld. That
yeah,
sort of
and
thing.
Thrawn could end up hiring the Mandalorian. He is a mercenary. He could be hired.
Absolutely.
He's not really he's a bounty hunter, but he's also a mercenary. Same idea. But
Yeah.
anyone from the Empire could end up being an employer. It happens all the time. Vader used to hire Boba Fett all the time. So
Yeah.
there's a precedent for that to involve getting into the war and the situation with that, and the Empire trying to not completely collapse yet. So, according to the books and the canon books, I'm not talking about the old EU.
Right. The new series.
The New
yeah.
Republic, during this time period, many fat parts of the Empire ended up surrendering and being absorbed into the New Republic. So the New Republic actually obtained a lot of Star Destroyers and former fleets of Imperials that just basically changed sides to the winning side. And
Yeah, that's not. Well, what war is different, George? I mean, you tell
Yeah,
me.
that's true.
You're the soldier.
that's true, but everybody assumes that this small rebel army just defeated the entire Empire. That's not quite what happened. The Empire was too big. But a lot of them ended up defecting and or surrendering, and because some of them maybe because they had always wanted to do that anyways, but they were too afraid of the emperor, and now that he's dead, they can do it. Another could be just because they realize as they're losing, they want to be on the winning side. And what the First Order is supposed to be is after all these treaties and things were signed, a certain group of totally purist Imperials took off for the Outer Rim and slowly rebuilt the Empire as the New Order and repurposed it, and then they came back unexpectedly hard. And so at first they were like more of a terrorist group that refused to surrender and sign over, but then they didn't, because they didn't take them too seriously. That was their mistake, because they ended up coming back so strong, it ended up causing the chaos that we're seeing in the current trilogy. But anyways, that's a quick backstory as to what the books say happened. And again, a lot of people say, well, sometimes books don't count. We're talking the new books, the canon books, the ones that the actual
Disney has signed off on.
That Disney signed off on and said this is official back exposition book stories. So that's what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about anything that happened in the EU or any of the old canon, where they call it legends now. So you wanted to talk about the games.
I do. There's always been now there was an older game called Empire at War, which was an RTS. There was two of them. And they were at this point, some of our younger fans may not have ever seen them because they are older. But the company that made that was very small at the time, Petroglyph, and now they're not small at all. What they did is when Disney took over and handed everything to EA, they went to EA with basically with a proposition that they would make Empire at War 3 with modern technology and make it a AAA title. Now, EA doesn't want anything that is not shooter adventure based, because they say their data shows that that is the thing that sells the best out of the Star Wars stuff. And this leads into my second point. But my first point is that this talented team then went somewhere else and did another IP, which is Conan the Barbarian, with an RTS in mind. But if you look at the new game, the Conan game, you could easily imagine that technology had been used for creating a Star Wars universe. I think it would have been very nice. I'm actually quite sad that EA has decided not to pursue an RTS franchise as well.
Well, on the other hand, the thing I am happy about is this Fallen Order game.
Absolutely.
Because of one reason. They're using the Unity engine, and they're not going with the whole Frostbite system.
Very good point.
It's going to be easier on my computer to use the Unity engine. It's a lot more, resource.
It's not as bloaty on your system.
It looks good story-wise. I wish they had more than one option for the main character. Some people are complaining that it's a white male guy and that's the only option you get. And yeah, that's true. They could. I wish maybe they'll allow you to customize how he looks, but it's the same. It's the same named character and same voice. But maybe you could change him to be like whatever color you want. That's possible. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. But they do have that virtual game too, where you play a female Jedi. That Vader Immortal.
Yes.
So with all these new games, they do have one where the main character is a female. But as some pointed out, again, it's a white female. You can't really win.
I want to hit some key points that fans want to know about. So, okay, the Fallen Orders trailer, which we will have on the on our Super Geeks website, web group for Facebook, is all the fan stuff is in-game footage. That's what Respawn says.
Right.
So that's nice. I mean, it's beautiful. If you when you take a look at it, you're going to be impressed. Now, another thing is the date confirmed. It's going to be released November 15th, 2019 on PC and consoles. And there's two editions right now. There's a standard and a deluxe, which the deluxe has some cosmetic DLC and some behind-the-scenes features and content. When is this set? Fallen Order is set after Revenge of the Sith.
It's during the Jedi Purge, basically. Before New Hope.
Also, the gameplay will be heavily melee, they say. So instead of shooting and all that stuff, it will definitely be Jedi
The
apprentices.
main villain chasing you is a female Inquisitor who's been
Yes,
she's been in the Vader comics.
yes, she looks awesome. By the way, if you
Yeah,
haven't seen her, she looks kind of
she's
it's
the
a little bit Cylon.
Sixth Sister, I think she's called. I think she's called the
Yes,
Sixth Sister.
absolutely true. Now, what's really exciting about Fallen Order, even though it's an EA game, there's three things that you should know about. There's no DLC, no multiplayer, and no microtransactions.
Right.
And they promised this. I mean, to the end of their teeth. So this.
Well, I don't
this
know
is
if they're not going to have DLCs. That's different.
well, that's what they said. They said no DLC.
Well, that's a shame. That's actually a shame. I think DLCs are
well, they might
a good
change
thing.
their minds.
Sometimes they offer free
change their
DLCs.
minds.
Sometimes.
Yeah, maybe, but they're throwing everything into the main game, which I totally appreciate for once of people doing.
Well, look
the
at
main writer.
You remember that game? The one with the clone guy there, Force.
Oh,
Rising.
the captain.
Yeah, what's that game called? You know, the one where you have the
Force
overpowered
Commander.
No, the one with the overpowered Jedi, the guy that Vader trains.
Oh, Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed. And
Yeah.
the second one, the DLCs for that are like the one where the alternate universe where you can kill Han Solo and everybody and Leia.
Oh, absolutely. It's fun.
And Luke
it's
and everything.
It's a great.
I have yet to play it. I can play it. I have it on Origins, but I have yet to play it. But I've watched all the videos. That's pretty awesome. For example, what you can do with DLCs, you can tell the alternative stories. You know, like
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to talk about the main writer. His name is Chris Avallone, and you should fans of Knights of the Old Republic 2 will know his name and many other titles. He is a mainstream, mainline, high demand writer for gaming. He's very good. I have to say. And that's it. That's my information on the Fallen Order.
I completely forgot.
And the main producer is called Respawn. That's the development team.
Oh, okay. I just realized a very critical part of that trailer first for the Rise of Skywalker. We didn't talk about Lando being in it. That was pretty awesome.
That's true. Lando finally got his ship back.
Finally got his ship back. It's like the memes for that is so funny.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, I'm gonna get my ship back over my dead body. It's like, finally got it back.
Finally got it back.
Oh my god!
In fact, he got his old partner back, Chewie. So
his daughter's apparently one of the characters in this movie too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she was on the poster, the early teaser poster that was leaked. It turns out that was legit. It was just an early version, but it wasn't. It was meant to be
it was a mock-up.
It was a mock-up placeholder concept poster. It wasn't like it was real, but it wasn't meant to be released to the public because they used certain things in the poster just for a placeholder. Like this is where a fresher image of Kylo would go, but it was actually an older image and things like that. But in that poster, it shows Lando's daughter. And I've seen she's been in the interviews on Celebrations too. No, she didn't come out and say she was Lando's daughter, but everybody knows that she is.
Right.
Not because she's black, but because that's what the rumor is, that it's his daughter. It comes with her.
Did you ever hear the old joke about Isaac in the Love Boat? Every time that there was a black girl on the show, it was like a love interest for Isaac. It was automatic.
Oh God!
I never heard that. It was hilarious. But it was true. Sadly,
you know, here's an interesting fact: that scene in the trailer where Carrie Fisher as Leia is hugging Rey, people kept going, "How did they do that? Did they use CGI?" No. What they said they did was there was a lot of unused footage from the dailies that they shoot during The Last Jedi. They had so much. There was this. One of them was her hugging Rey, so they reused it. They never. It was never used in the. It was like something they never ended up putting into the original film. It wasn't cut from the film. It was just never put into it in the first place. It was like they shot. They call them dailies. They always film scenes and decide what they want to keep and what they don't want to use in the film. And so they had tons of footage of things Carrie Fisher did that were not in the movie. So they decided to use that and repurpose it for this movie.
Excellent. Well, do we have anything else up on the docket?
No.
Oh no! So we've reached the end of our show.
Yeah, well, you know these Star Wars shows are kind of like short little news updates.
That's right.
Little extra content. because also we went too long without talking at all. Since we've been delayed on our main show because of waiting for Game of Thrones and finishing Discovery, we didn't want to do 3 shows a week. We had some topics that got skipped over, would have been talked about sooner. So this was a good opportunity to talk about the biggest news, which was the Star Wars stuff, and give it its own little micro show. So,
absolutely.
And we'll do it again when there's more news to come out about Star Wars. I have a feeling that we'll get more, obviously, in the coming months because we're getting closer to when all these things are coming out. The Mandalorian did finish its entire first season filming, so they'll have an actual official trailer sometime soon, probably. And I don't know if it comes out in the fall or not. I can't remember. Clone Wars is probably going to be out before any of them.
EA promises more Star Wars games immediately after the release of the.
I would like to do an after show, a reaction show with the Clone Wars since it is the final season.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, why not?
Absolutely.
Might as well give it a reason to talk about it.
That would be great.
And we'll sometimes have people on for that. But this has been another episode of Always True There Are. Raul, where do you want to be found on social media?
I am on Facebook. My location is Arizona, and my full name is Raul Padron.
And you can find us on TR Super Geeks. We now have a Twitter, and our Twitter is geek_TR. At geek_TR. So that's new. We had an old Twitter a long time ago, but something happened to it. But now we're back, and I'm going to be making an Instagram. So we're going to expand more places to interact with us online. And you can also find us at The Real Super Geeks on Facebook. It's a group that has a lot of members and some good times on there. So join us.
And growing all the time.
And tonight, we will be doing our Star Trek Discovery season finale special show, and we have some special guests for that. So I will update everybody on the groups, and we are also syndicated on Subspace Radio, subspace-radio.net, on Monday nights. You can check the schedule for that on their website. It does change sometimes. So, without further ado, Raul, may the Force be with you. And
always with you.
We'll talk to you guys the next time.